When God is about to restore all your wasted years, the first sign is not what happens around you. It is what awakens within you. It is that sudden stirring in your spirit that refuses to let you settle. That inner trembling that whispers, this is not the end of your story. Some of you listening right now have walked through seasons so dark that even your own strength could not carry you. You have cried until you felt dry, waited until you felt numb, and wondered if God had forgotten the chapters you lost. But hear me now, with every ounce of faith you can muster, the same God who saw every tear, who counted every silent prayer, who watched every battle you fought in the shadows, He is moving in this moment, preparing a restoration so profound that even your memory of loss will bow before the abundance that is coming. What you thought was wasted will be reborn with purpose, and what you thought was broken beyond repair will rise again as testimony. There are moments in life when we walk through valleys that seem endless. You may have said, why did I spend those years struggling? Why did that opportunity slip away? Why did I give my best and still watch everything fall apart? But you must understand something foundational to the nature of God. Nothing surrendered to God is ever wasted. Even the years that crumbled in your hands are still held in His, and He knows how to transform what looks like dust into gardens of destiny. God does not simply replace what was lost, God multiplies. God does not restore you to where you were. God elevates you to where you were meant to be. You are on the verge of experiencing God's power in a way that will make every moment of waiting worth it. And I am speaking to you with conviction, because I know that when restoration is sent by God, it comes with force, precision, and intention. Some of you have lived with the ache of almost. The dream that almost succeeded, the relationship that almost healed, the breakthrough that almost arrived, and you began to think that almost is all life will ever give you. But God is not a God of almost. God is a God of completion, fulfillment, and divine timing. You were never meant to live in a cycle of unfinished stories. The reason you have felt restless, the reason your spirit has felt stretched, the reason you have sensed a shift, even when you could not explain it, is because God is preparing you to walk into the fullness of restoration. Restoration is not an event, it is a divine takeover of every area where you experience loss. When God restores wasted years, God does not ask permission from the circumstances that once defeated you. When God says it is time, everything that opposed you must step aside. You may say, but I have failed too many times. I have made too many mistakes. Listen closely. God does not restore you because of your perfection. God restores you because of His mercy. Your mistakes do not intimidate God. Your weaknesses do not disqualify you. Your past does not limit the future God ordained for you. If anything, the more you feel unworthy, the more room you leave for God's power to manifest. God specializes in taking the remnants of a wounded life and shaping them into something extraordinary. You think your story is too broken, but God sees the masterpiece within the fragments. You think your hope is too thin, but God sees the seed of a testimony ready to sprout. You think your time has run out, but God holds time in His hands. The restoration of wasted years is not merely about receiving what you lost, it is about becoming who you were always meant to be. There are seasons in life when God allows what you built in your own strength to fall so He can rebuild you with His strength. There are moments when God allows certain doors to close, not to punish you, but to protect you from walking into a future that would have destroyed you. Sometimes God takes you the long way because the short way would have broken you. Sometimes God delays what you prayed for because He was preparing something far greater than what you asked. When God restores wasted years, He restores your identity. He restores your peace. He restores your confidence. He restores your purpose. He restores the fire inside your spirit that life tried to extinguish. Some of you have walked through seasons of silence where it seemed as if your prayers disappeared into the air. You begged God for guidance, but the heavens felt still. You asked for answers, yet silence met you again and again. But silence does not mean God is absent. Silence is often the preparation room of restoration. When God is working behind the scenes, He does not always announce His movements. He works in layers, in depths, in dimensions you cannot see. And then suddenly, what looks stagnant begins to shift. What looked hopeless begins to breathe. What looked dead begins to rise. God is not late. God is precise. You may have thought He was delaying, but He was designing a restoration so complete, so overflowing, so undeniable, that when it arrives, you will say, only God could have done this. There are people listening right now, feel like the years have escaped them. You feel like you wasted energy on people who did not value you. You poured your heart into dreams that collapsed. You invested your time into past that led nowhere. You may even believe that you are too old, too tired, too scarred to start again. But hear me, God does not measure your future by your age. God measures it by your purpose. And your purpose does not expire. Your calling does not evaporate. Your value does not diminish because time passed. God is fully capable of accelerating your destiny in a single moment. What you thought would take a lifetime, God can bring forth in an instant. What you believed was gone forever, God can restore with abundance. You have not missed your moment. Your moment is being prepared by the very God who governs time. Wasted years do not intimidate God. God can restore wasted years the way a skilled artist restores a ruined painting, layer by layer, stroke by stroke, until the beauty is greater than it ever was. But here is the part that many overlook. Before God restores the external, God restores the internal. Before the circumstances shift, the heart must shift. Before the breakthrough arrives, the mindset must align. You cannot step into restoration with the mentality of loss. You cannot walk into abundance with the mindset of scarcity. If God is preparing a season of multiplication for you, He must first prepare the vessel that will carry it. That vessel is you. This is why your spirit has felt stretched. This is why you have felt unsettled. This is why you have sensed both discomfort and anticipation at the same time. God is expanding your capacity to receive. There are times when God removes people from your life during the restoration process, not because they were evil, but because they were not designed for where God is taking you. Not everyone is meant to walk into your restored years. Some people belong only to your past, not your future. When God restores your wasted years, He also restores your circle, your environment, your atmosphere. He places you around people who speak life, who sharpen your faith, who ignite your potential. And sometimes God isolates you for a season so that no voice but His can influence your spirit. Do not resist the isolation. Isolation is often the incubator of your transformation. When the noise dies, God speaks. When the crowd disappears, God becomes clearer. Some of you have struggled with questions that tormented your mind. Why did God let this happen? Why did I have to go through that pain? Why did I lose what I cherished? But hear this truth deeply. God does not waste pain. Your tears were not meaningless. Your battles were not random. Your struggles were not accidental. God uses everything, every disappointment, every setback, every betrayal, to shape you into someone who can carry the magnitude of blessing He intends to give you. Your pain was preparing you. Your loss was positioning you. Your difficulties were developing strength, resilience, compassion, wisdom, and spiritual depth within you. These qualities are the foundation upon which your restored years will be built. You may not realize it yet, but you have grown. The version of you that entered those painful seasons is not the version of you standing here today. You have been refined. You have been purified. You have been tested. And though the process was painful, the result is powerful. You are stronger than you were. You are wiser than you were. You are more discerning than you were. And now when God restores your wasted years, you will not simply receive blessings. You will steward them with maturity. The years you thought were wasted were actually years of preparation camouflaged as struggle. Nothing about your journey was accidental. There are many who feel they have lost time because of fear. You hesitated when opportunities came. You doubted your ability. You allowed the weight of insecurity to hold you back. And now you regret the years you spent paralyzed by uncertainty. But God is not measuring your destiny by your old fears. God is breaking the chains of hesitation. God is pouring courage into your spirit. God is awakening boldness within you. The fear that once silenced you will lose its power as God restores what was lost. For every year fear stole from you, God will return double strength for every chance you felt you missed. God will open doors that cannot be shut. For every moment you spent shrinking, God will enlarge your influence. You are not defined by the years you lost. You are defined by the God who is restoring them. Some listening right now have suffered betrayal that cut so deeply it changed how you see the world. People you trusted misused that trust. People you loved walked away. People you helped turned against you. And you feel like those relationships drained your years, your joy, your energy. But hear me with clarity. When God restores wasted years, God restores your heart. He takes the bitterness out. He removes the heaviness. He releases the wounds that time alone could not heal. Your restoration includes emotional freedom. You will not enter your next season carrying the weight of old betrayals. You will walk with renewed peace. You will walk with a spirit that is whole. You will walk with clarity, dignity, and spiritual strength that no past hurt can diminish. Some of you have lost years to sickness. Your body battled, your strength faded, your energy drained, and you feel like you missed experiences, opportunities, relationships because illness stole precious time. But God is the giver of strength. God is the restorer of vitality. God can renew your body and revive your spirit. Restoration does not mean simply feeling better. It means reclaiming life with renewed vigor. You will run again. You will build again. You will live fully again. Your body will not dictate your destiny. Your story does not end in limitation. Restoration means God is breathing life into every area that felt weakened and worn. There are those who have lost years to poverty, financial struggle, or lack. You worked tirelessly but saw little fruit. You stretched yourself trying to provide, yet you always seemed to fall short. You watched others grow while you stayed stuck, but your financial struggle was not a life sentence. God is shifting resources. God is aligning opportunities. God is sending provision in ways you never imagined. Restoration means not only recovering what you lost, but receiving what you never had. There is abundance being prepared for you, not to make you prideful, but to make you impactful. You will not only be restored, you will be positioned to help others. Your story of financial struggle will become someone else's testimony of hope. Some of you have lost years to confusion. You did not know which direction to take. You wandered from idea to idea, job to job, plan to plan. You felt uncertain, unstable, unsure. But confusion is leaving your life. God is giving you clarity so sharp that you will walk with certainty. You will know what to build. You will know where to invest your time. You will know which path to pursue. God is restoring wasted years by giving you divine clarity, the kind that cuts through doubt like light cuts through darkness. There are some who have lost years to destructive habits, cycles, or environments. You made choices you regret. You repeated patterns that harmed you. You stayed in places that drained your spirit. But God is not holding your past against you. God is breaking cycles you could not break on your own. God is freeing you from patterns that once controlled you. God is lifting you out of environments that suffocated your growth. Your restored years will be marked by discipline, dignity, and spiritual strength. What once controlled you will no longer have authority over you. Hear this with absolute conviction. When God restores wasted years, God moves swiftly. You will look back and say, how did everything change so quickly? And the answer will be simple. It was God. Not your strength, not your strategy, not your abilities. God's hand will be evident in every breakthrough. You will see doors open without effort. You will see opportunities find you. You will see connections form supernaturally. You will see obstacles clear out of your path. Restoration is not slow. Restoration is divine acceleration. There will come a moment when you no longer talk about what you lost, because what God gives you will surpass it so dramatically that the pain of yesterday will no longer define you. Your spirit will overflow. Your mind will renew. Your relationships will flourish. Your purpose will ignite. Your life will align. And people who saw you broken will witness you rebuilt by the power of God. They will come to you and say, what happened? How did you rise again? And you will answer simply, God restored my years. This is not the season to shrink. This is not the time to doubt. This is not the moment to question whether you are worthy of restoration. This is the moment to stand tall in your spirit and declare, every year I lost is returning to me with divine abundance. Speak it until your soul believes it. Speak it until your atmosphere shifts. Speak it until every ounce of doubt flees. God is already moving. The restoration is already in motion. Your role is to align your heart, expand your faith, and prepare for the overflow. God has seen your suffering. God has heard your prayers. God has watched your battles. God has counted your tears. And now God is ready to gather the fragments of your life and return them to you. Pressed down, overflowing, transform the years you thought were wasted, were never wasted in God's eyes. They were seeds. And now the harvest is coming. Not a small harvest, not an average harvest, but a harvest of restoration so powerful it will rewrite your story. Get ready. The restoration is beginning in your spirit right now. When God begins to restore the years you thought were beyond recovery, the transformation does not come softly. It arrives like a spiritual storm that clears the debris of your past and makes room for a future far greater than your imagination ever dared to picture. And as this restoration unfolds, God does something profound. He rewrites your internal narrative. Because before God restores your circumstances, He restores your identity. Before God restores your opportunities, He restores your perception. Before God restores your path, He restores the way you see yourself. Many of you have walked through seasons where your identity was distorted by failure, where your confidence was eroded by disappointment, where your worth was overshadowed by the weight of repeated setbacks. And God says, I am restoring the truth of who you are. You are not defined by the years you lost. You are defined by the God who governs time, seasons, and destiny. When you rise from this chapter, you will walk with a renewed sense of who you were always meant to be. Your spirit will no longer echo the voice of past wounds. It will echo the voice of divine purpose. There comes a moment in every journey where God brings you to a crossroads of decision, where you must choose whether you will continue seeing your life through the lens of what was lost or through the lens of what God is about to restore. Restoration requires a shift in vision. You cannot move forward while staring at the ruins behind you. God is calling you to lift your gaze from the ashes and fix it upon the unfolding miracle ahead. The past may explain you, but it does not define you. The years behind you may hold pain, but the years before you hold promise. God wants to lead you away from the gravity of old disappointments and into the elevation of renewed destiny. This requires trust, deep, unshakable trust. Trust that God knows what He's doing even when you don't understand it. Trust that what God is preparing is far better than what you lost. Trust that every delay was divine orchestration. Trust that God's timing is not slow, it is flawless. And as God prepares to restore what slipped through your fingers, He also prepares to restore the strength of your spirit. Some of you have been strong for so long that you forgot what true strength feels like. You have carried burdens that were too heavy, fought battles that were too many, and endured pressures that were too intense. And your soul grew tired, quietly tired, silently exhausted, inwardly worn. But now God is breathing life back into your spirit. You will feel strength rising in places where weakness once lived. You will feel courage awakening where fear once ruled. You will feel resilience forming where discouragement used to dwell. God is not just restoring what you lost externally. God is rebuilding the inner architecture of your soul. And when God strengthens you from the inside, no external force can break you. Some of you have lived with unspoken grief. Grief for dreams that never manifested, grief for opportunities that dissolved, grief for relationships that fractured, grief for time that vanished without explanation, and you learn to function with that grief as if it were part of your identity. But God never intended for you to carry that grief indefinitely. God is lifting the weight you hid from the world. God is healing the places beneath your smile. God is clearing the heaviness you normalized. Restoration includes emotional resurrection. You will not merely heal, you will thrive. You will not merely recover, you will rise with renewed joy. You will not merely move on, you will move forward with the fullness of hope. There will be moments when restoration requires separation. God may pull you away from environments that once felt familiar. God may distance you from voices that once influenced you. God may remove people who have grown too comfortable with your brokenness and cannot handle your restoration. Not everyone can remain in your life when God is elevating you. Some connections were tied to your old season and cannot survive the climate of your restored one. God is not subtracting from you. God is making space for better. God is not isolating you. God is realigning you. God is positioning you among those who will speak truth, growth, and encouragement into your restored years. This is divine repositioning, and as uncomfortable as it may feel, it is essential. God restores your wasted years. He also restores your voice. Life may have silenced you for a season. Circumstances may have convinced you to shrink back. Failures may have made you doubt the authority of your own words. But when restoration comes, God amplifies your voice with new power. Your words will carry weight. Your declarations will carry authority. When you speak, you will speak from a place of experience, endurance, and divine empowerment. God does not restore you to remain silent. God restores you to influence, to inspire, to uplift others who are walking the path you once walked. Your voice will become a vessel of strength for many. There are some who have lost years to waiting for doors to open, waiting for clarity, waiting for breakthrough, waiting for life to shift. And waiting can be one of the hardest tests because it stretches your faith beyond comfort. But waiting is not wasted when God is involved. Waiting is the furnace where God refines your patience, your perspective, and your faith. You may have felt stuck, but God was shaping you. You may have felt delayed, but God was protecting you. You may have felt forgotten, but God was preparing you. And now, the waiting that once felt empty will suddenly prove meaningful when you step into the abundance prepared for you. God never wastes a season of waiting. And when the restoration comes, you will understand why the wait was necessary. Some of you have lost years because life forced you into survival mode. You spent months or even years simply trying to endure, to hold on, to keep your head above water. When you are in survival mode, you do not dream, you defend, you do not build, you endure. But now, God is shifting you from survival to revival. You will not merely survive, you will create again, imagine again, pursue again, build again. Survival seasons drain your imagination, but restoration seasons ignite it. You will dream with confidence. You will pursue with boldness. You will plan with excitement. God is restoring the creative fire inside of you, the part of you that once believed anything was possible. That fire is coming back. That vision is returning. That hope is rising. And hear this deeply. Restoration does not mean returning to what was. It means stepping into what will be, something far greater, far richer, far more aligned with your divine purpose. If God intended for your past to be your future, He would never have allowed it to be disrupted. But God disrupted your old path to realign you with the higher one. You will not go backward. You will not return to what broke you. You will not revisit what drained you. Your restoration is forward, upward, and divinely elevated. There are times when God restores your understanding, your ability to discern, to recognize divine direction, to see beyond surface appearances. Some of you lost years because you trusted the wrong voices, believed the wrong narratives, or followed the wrong paths. But God is giving you spiritual clarity that will guard your steps. You will not walk blindly. You will not be deceived easily. You will not make decisions from confusion. God is restoring your ability to recognize truth, identify opportunity, and see danger before it reaches you. This clarity alone is a form of divine protection. Sometimes restoration requires God to restore your enthusiasm for life. Hard seasons can drain the joy out of your soul until even the things that once made your heart flutter feel heavy. But God is reigniting enthusiasm, joy, passion, and inspiration within you. You will wake up with anticipation instead of dread. You will feel excitement instead of weariness. You will sense purpose in the smallest details of your day. God is reviving your emotional landscape, making room for joy to flourish again. God also restores dignity. Some of you have been humiliated by circumstances, misunderstood by people, looked down on by those who judged your struggle, but God lifts the head of the humbled. God raises those who were overlooked. God honors those who endured quietly. And when God restores dignity, no opinion can diminish it. You will walk with a confidence not rooted in pride, but in the truth that God has validated your worth. There are times when restoration comes disguised as redirection. You may find yourself called into new environments, new roles, new responsibilities. God may place you in positions you never expected. Doors you did not even knock on will open. People you never thought you would meet will enter your life. Opportunities you never imagined will pursue you. That is part of divine restoration. God not only returns what you lost, but expands what is possible. And through this entire process, God is cultivating gratitude. Gratitude not only for what is coming, but for what has already been survived, for the nights you endured, the valleys you walked through, the storms you outlasted. Gratitude turns restoration into worship. Gratitude shifts your heart from longing to appreciation. Gratitude prepares you to carry the abundance without forgetting the journey that shaped you. Restoration also brings alignment. Your thoughts align with truth. Your emotions align with peace. Your steps align with purpose. Your relationships align with destiny. Everything that once felt scattered suddenly begins to make sense. You will feel synchronized with God's plan in a way you have never experienced before. That alignment is the foundation of your new season. And remember this, when God restores your wasted years, the restoration is not fragile. It is not temporary. It is not unstable. What God restores cannot be stolen. What God rebuilds cannot be shaken. What God blesses cannot be reversed. You are entering a chapter of permanence, where the goodness of God will anchor your life with stability you have never known. The restoration of God is not just a promise, it is a divine certainty. It is unfolding even now, even as you listen, even as your heart receives these words. You may not see the full picture yet, but the seeds are already in the ground, and the harvest is inevitable. Your spirit knows it, your heart feels it, your circumstances are about to reveal it. God is restoring your years fully, completely, abundantly, and undeniably. And now, as this message settles into the deepest places of your spirit, let this final truth strike you with unshakable force. Restoration is not something you merely wait for. It is something you step into. God does not restore the hesitant heart. God restores the heart that dares to believe again. This is your moment to rise from the shadows of what was and walk boldly into what God is preparing. Examine your life with courage. Look at the places where fear has held you back, where doubt has chained your imagination, where disappointment has quieted your voice. Do not shy away from these truths. Bring them into the presence of God. For what you place before God with honesty, God transforms with power. As you confront the areas where you lost years, you give God the freedom to restore them with divine authority. Let this be the moment where you choose alignment over hesitation, where you choose faith over fear, where you choose purpose over passivity. Restoration is not passive. It is a partnership between your willingness and God's greatness. God is ready to rebuild, revive, renew, but you must stand with a heart willing to move. Lift your head, strengthen your resolve, rekindle your hunger for the life God designed for you. Do not walk through the world as someone bound by the past. Walk as someone claimed by God, guided by God, sustained by God. Let your actions reflect the truth that you are stepping into restored years, restored purpose, restored identity, and restored destiny. Let your life become a declaration that God still lives, God still heals, God still transforms, and God still brings beauty out of the years you thought were lost. And now I challenge you, yes, challenge you, to draw closer to God with a sincerity you have never known. Not out of fear, not out of ritual, but out of a fierce desire to walk in the fullness of what God is releasing into your life. Speak to God with honesty. Seek God with depth. Align your decisions, your habits, your attitudes, your relationships with the path God is illuminating before you. Let every step you take from this moment forward be a step toward God, a step into clarity, a step into healing, a step into divine purpose. The more you walk with God, the more restoration will unfold around you in ways that will leave you in awe. Your life is not a story of wasted years. It is a story of God's ability to redeem every moment and transform it into victory. Now go with a stirred spirit, with a renewed mind, with a burning heart, and step boldly into the restored years God is placing before you.